than Nas, and I don't care what nobody say. I know I made it. I know I made a little boo boo when you talk about the sales and all this type of. I don't feel like getting into that rhetoric about where I started and where he started.
Well, you said that
but
bullshit.
listen, Nas was nice when I was in high school. When I was in 10th grade, Nas came out. Nas was dope. We appreciated him. He had a little bit.
Jim Jones slid onto Shannon Sharpe's podcast and straight up claimed he's more influential than Nas. Not just still relevant, but bigger for the whole culture. And the moment he dropped that bomb, the energy flipped. 50 Cent didn't throw shade with a post or say a word. He just uploaded an old federal transcript to Instagram and let the streets put 2 and 2 together. Now wiretaps are being pulled up, old clips are making rounds again, and Jim's out here in the gym spitting about diss tracks like he's gearing up for a prison yard battle. But this ain't just about Nas, and it sure ain't only about pride. This feels like 50 giving the industry a subtle but loud reminder who's still untouchable and who got real questions around how they ducked certain indictments. Jim might have wanted to shake things up and prove a point, but he might have lit a fuse that's way bigger than music. And there's a reason Jim name-dropping Nas always stirs the pot. That tension didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It's been simmering since 2002 when Nas hopped on Hot 97 and randomly flamed Cameron's album, calling it whack without any real explanation. That one moment was all it took. Dipset went straight into battle mode, and Jim Jones dove in head first. From there, it got messy fast. Nas and Dipset started tossing jabs back and forth on mixtapes, but Jim, he took it personal. He even threatened to smack the kufi off Nas and kept that same wild energy flowing through his tracks like We Fly High. This was deeper than music. It was war. But here's where it gets even more twisted. Jim used to love Nas. Just a year ago, he had nothing but respect, no shade, no slick talk. That admiration flipped overnight. And it all started when Jim pulled up on Fat Joe and Jadakiss's podcast, and Fat Joe, he stirred the pot on purpose. That moment could have just lived and died on the timeline. But Jim wasn't done. He leaned all the way into it like he wanted the smoke. Then out of nowhere, Jim dropped one of the wildest takes we've heard in a minute. He didn't just say he's more relevant, he claimed he's more influential than Nas. Nas from Queensbridge, the icon behind Illmatic, God's Son, King's Disease, the same dude packing out Madison Square Garden in his 50s. But Jim didn't blink, no hesitation. He doubled down like he meant every word. That interview didn't just stir the pot, it straight up flipped it, lit it on fire, and walked away before the smoke even cleared. After that podcast buzz, Jim popped up on another platform. This time, he hit Nightcap with Shannon Sharpe and Chad Ocho Cinco Johnson, ready to push the gas even harder. Jim slid onto the set acting like he was just there to clarify things, but instead, he poured more heat on the flames. Shannon wasn't letting him off easy either. He kicked off the convo with some pressure, but what Jim said next had fans pausing the episode midstream like, did he really just say that? And just when it seemed like Jim was done comparing resumes, boom, another hot take. He brought up the old Dipset versus Nas drama from the early 2000s, claiming he was the bigger Nas fan back then. But now, he says he's passed him in overall impact. Then came the slick deflection, shouting out Nas's fashion game, calling him one of the flyest ever. But Jim kept circling back to one thing. Nas doesn't move the streets like he does. And get this, Jim was so salty he even started roasting Shannon for his fit on air. At this point, Ocho Cinco was just chilling, watching Shannon and Jim go head to head like a front row seat to a street brawl. The convo was still circling around Nas and who's really running the rap game. Then out of nowhere, Jim accused Shannon of only inviting him on the show for clout. That's when Unc snapped. Shannon barked back, "This the biggest podcast you ever been on." And just like that, it turned into a whole different vibe. Shannon flipped the switch quick, host 1 second, straight up opponent the next. If Jim wanted smoke, Shannon looked ready to throw on gloves and meet him in the gym. When Jim told Shannon he was better than Nas, it wasn't just about lyrics anymore. Shannon wasn't even debating music, he challenged Jim's body. Wild. Instead of clapping back at 50 Cent, Jim tried to switch it up and turn the convo into a fitness face-off. He challenged Shannon to a workout war like proving he still matters meant bench presses and burpees. But while Jim was flexing for the camera, 50 had already made moves in silence, and that individual one label still looms in the shadows. Meanwhile, the internet was in a frenzy. Comments were going off. One fan even said, "Shannon did what Fat Joe and Jada should have done. Jones, you delusional. Shannon, thank you for bringing it up." And that's real because why were they so quiet during all that heat? While the whole drama played out in public, 50 Cent was in the cut, watching it all unfold like a silent chess master. And he wasn't laughing. But just when folks thought the mess had hit peak comedy, it took a petty turn. That's when fans dragged up an old clip, the ultimate disrespect. Jim didn't just get curved by Nas back in the day, he got laughed off the stage. And now in 2025, that same clip is spinning all over again. But it didn't stop there. While Nas kept cool and Shannon was out here bulking up, someone else was still locked in from behind the scenes. As soon as 50 caught wind of Jim saying he was better than Nas, he didn't argue. He grinned, reached into his legendary vault of receipts, and pulled out a bombshell. He revived one of the most controversial rumors in hip-hop history by calling Jim Individual One. That one post had the internet in tears. Because if you know, you know, Individual One ain't just a slick nickname. That's a real federal tag pulled straight from the Tekashi 6ix9ine wiretap from 2018, linked to the 9 Trey Bloods. 50 didn't say much, but that caption, it said everything.
I ever got to see Nas? I never got to sit down and have a conversation with Nas and things like that. I had called you about it and things like that. That was like still one of the people that I never got to have a conversation throughout my history of rap and things like that. I think I would love to have a conversation with Nas. I wouldn't know if he knows it, but Nas was one of my all-time favorite rappers coming up and things like that.
I've heard you say that.
Since the barbecue and things like that. Like he really put the whole dope boy rap, crack hustler, get fresh rap into perspective before.
During the trial, prosecutors played a phone call that they claimed featured Jim Jones, though his name was never said in court. Instead, he was labeled Individual One. In that call, someone was allegedly giving orders to handle Tekashi for turning his back on the crew. Jim's voice was never officially confirmed and he was never charged, but that didn't stop the streets, the blogs, and especially 50 from locking onto it like a pit bull. Now with Jim puffing out his chest on every podcast, trying to bait Nas into a back and forth, 50 saw the perfect chance to slide in and remind everyone, the streets never forgot. He went back into his IG archive and dug up a meme he once deleted real quick, the one that read, "So that's why they ain't pull him in." Say it ain't so, Jimmy. Flashback to 2019 when the Shade Room posted updates from Tekashi's court case. A verified courtroom reporter said Tekashi named Jim as a 9 Trey member. And 50? He couldn't help himself. He dropped a comment that had folks hollering. Then came that infamous clip of 50 looking shook. He literally wrote, "I'm afraid for my life. I mean, Jimmy is gang gang." The internet was laughing hard, but Jimmy, he was twitching. And here's the twist. This ain't even about Nas for 50. His beef with Jim goes way back. Jim just gave him the green light to start dragging him all over again. Back in 2007, the tension got real when 50 Cent pulled a bold move, bringing Jim Jones and Joel Santana out on stage during a G-Unit show, right in the middle of Dipset's behind-the-scenes drama. Cameron saw it as straight disrespect, especially with Dipset already crumbling from the inside. Fast forward to 2019, and things got even spicier. Jim Jones got labeled Individual One in a wiretapped call during Tekashi 6ix9ine's federal trial. Prosecutors played it in court. Jim was never charged, but that nickname stuck, and the internet ran wild with snitching whispers. Jim saw 50's posts, every single one of them, and at first he kept it chill. He dropped a classic Bird Gang photo full of Dipset energy with the caption, "Why you keep lying, I'm going back to sleep, free male matrix till it's reversed." That free male matrix line was a shout out to his longtime friend, locked up with over 11 years on racketeering charges. But that caption, that was a jab, basically saying 50's out here spinning fake narratives. But Jim didn't stop there. He dropped another Jim flex, this time with a fiery caption. "Somebody tell Shannon Sharpe don't start ducking this challenge now. Go and talk like a podcaster or go and walk what you talk, cause my sneaker's tied." Then he added, "You already challenged me in front of the world. Might as well finish the job, champ." Ocho Cinco even chimed in, saying Shannon didn't want to do it in public. So Jim clapped back, "Then let's do it in private." Jim wasn't backing down, not even a little. He fired off. "I know his rep as an athlete is on the line. As long as you're the witness, we don't duck no challenges. Size don't matter where I'm from, run it." While 50 was trolling from the sidelines, Jim looked like he was gearing up for a full-on battle. And just when it couldn't get wilder, Jim dropped another bomb. "If you 40 and up arguing with me about Nas, you already lost." He told fans they fell for the bait, bragging, My streams go up every time Mel goes viral. Then he said he's teaching older artists a lesson in how to market in today's game. He claimed they're stuck in the past and mad at how the game moves now. Tighten up. But it was his caption that really hit loud. I said what I said. P.S. I will wrap circles around any artist from my era. Whoever dares to step in the booth, bring some money with you, cause this game ain't free. We outside in the field, take that how you want, but we working every day. And the wildest part? Through all of this, Nas stayed silent, not a post, not a word. Meanwhile, Jim's still throwing bait, still talking big, still claiming he's more influential. So if Nas ever did respond, fans are saying it wouldn't be just a diss and there'd be a full-blown lyrical execution. And now, people are calling Jim out hard. Now fans are turning the tables and they're coming heavy at Jim. The comment sections are lit up with folks saying he's chasing clout, not legacy. They're pointing out that Nas don't need to bark back. His resume speaks for itself. While Jim's flexing on podcasts and calling for Jim battles, Nas is out here quietly headlining festivals, making business moves, and getting Grammy nods in his 50s. That's silence? It's hitting harder than any diss track. Meanwhile, some fans are asking the real question, why Jim keep poking the bear? Cause if Nas really locked in and fired back, it wouldn't be a friendly spar, it'd be career-ending. That man's pen is legendary. Folks still break down Illmatic like it just dropped yesterday and now. The internet split, half saying Jim's wild confident, the other half saying he's digging his own grave. But one thing's for sure, Jim's not letting up. He's still talking impact, still comparing stats, still calling himself the voice of the streets. And with 50 Cent tossing memes like grenades and fans egging it on, this whole situation feels like it's one verse away from exploding. Will Nas step up and answer? Or will he keep letting the silence speak louder than bars? Either way, something's brewing. Right now, Jim's still out here baiting Nas, still silent, chilling like a king who knows his crown's secure. And 50, he's lurking in the background like a puppet master, pulling strings without making a sound. But here's the thing, if that unreleased wiretap really exists, Jim might have just talked himself into more than a diss. Because while he's rapping and flexing for the timeline, 50's been too quiet. And when 50 goes silent, that's when the bomb always drops. If you've been locked into this madness, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Let us know, should Nas respond or is silence the deadliest move? Stay tapped in, this story's far from over.